Okay, so time to start rebuilding. So in the last video we got this motor rebuilt with new bearings, and that's sounding pretty good. Well, doesn't make any noise at all, which is perfect. It sounded pretty horrendous before. I've still got the position sensor and the new like ring that goes in the middle to go on there. So yeah, they need to be refitted on there, and also the brushes and the plastic sort of clip that goes around the wires to all be refitted. Then the motor will be totally done, and then we've got to rebuild the stack. So we've got the what's called the PEC there, which is like the charging filter, so pretty much onboard charger, motor controller, DC-DC converter, yeah, lots of sort of power electronics basically all fit onto there. There's the reduction gear, which is over there, that needs to be refitted on this side of the motor, and also there was a little bit of an oil leak when I did the lower arms on this vehicle, just from the reduction gear, so I've got a new, that's an oil seal for it, and then when that's built, then there's the wiring loom that goes all around it, and then that'll be ready to put back in. Just started looking at the steering rack as well, so yeah, just started unbolting that. I just need to refer to the procedure because it's not quite as straightforward as I thought it was, but going to have a look at that. I need to look up the torque settings anyway, but yeah, time to start getting this back together, so we're going the right way. All right, let's do it. Okay, so we've got the reduction gear on. So in here is the motor output shaft, and that's got the sensor, rotor position sensor, so that's all refitted. Reduction gear is on. I've got to do the other end to get the control box there, the PEC on, but I've also got the brushes refitted, brush box on, and the cover on those wires there, so that's good. So that's ready to put that on. At the minute I'm just looking at, so this reduction gear, it's got seals here, and this one was leaking a bit. When I did the lower arms, we talked about earlier, as that, you can see that the kind of wheel drops down, the strut, the shock absorber extends, and as the drive shaft kind of moved like that, this was leaking a bit of oil, and I was a bit concerned about that, and the seal was like 12 quid or something, so I thought I'll get one of those. So I've sort of yanked the old one out, and it's really tight fitting. I don't know if it's because it's kind of cool ambient temperature that this is all kind of contracted. I tried heating this up with a heat gun, still really tight. I've actually put the seal in the freezer because the missus is out shopping with the kids, which is cool. So yeah, I'm hoping if I heat that with a heat gun and then I've got the seal in the freezer, that it'll actually go in sort of easier, but it's a real snug fit. So yeah, that's a little bit of a challenge at the minute. Not had to do that in the past, so that's a new experience, so we're getting there with that. I always think this is quite fascinating, really. So the mounting points for holding the stack in, so if we go into the engine bay, so there's three holes there, 3 bolts going there, nice long bolts, and they bolt into the top of the PEC, which is over here. We go over here, so you can see there's 3 bolts there, so nice and stable at that end. The other end, the sort of reduction gear end, there's a hole here, and then there's a big kind of round thing, like the world's biggest washer and a nut, and that bolts on to this thread, which is on the reduction gear. I was just looking at it as I was sort of musing what to do about that seal. You can see here that this part of the thread's unused, and the bolt is basically on. It's kind of blurry, isn't it? If I can get it to focus, there we go. Yeah, on those like 4 or 5 turns of thread. I mean, it obviously works. I've never seen one fall out, but it's just amazing, really, to hold this end of it on that mounting. I don't really know why it's done like that, to be honest. There's another mount there. No, it's all out of focus because I made it focus close. Like a kind of dog bone one there. That's an anti-vibration mount, really, to stop that twisting torque. So that's not really holding it up, it's just holding it in place, kind of thing, stopping it from moving. But yeah, I'm always fascinated by this end. It's just like those, yeah, just those 4 or 5 turns. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm always kind of fascinated by that. But yeah, it obviously works. Never seen one fall out. Just yeah, make sure we took that one up properly. All right, cool. So yeah, in a minute I'm going to get that seal done and get that box on, and then we'll have a stack rebuilt. Yeah, ready to go back in the car. All right, cool. Catch you in a bit. Okay, next step is complete. So we've got this control box back on. So that's all bolted on. So it's got a bolt sort of down here on either side, little 13mm there on that stud, and it also bolts sort of onto the motor there, and then there's a bracket sort of to the side of the air conditioning compressor, that like an L-shaped bracket, bolts onto the motor, bolts onto this side of that PEC, that big box, and then there's a little bracket there that kind of holds a cable, but yeah, just steadies that as well. So that is all bolted on. I've also done this seal here, which was an absolute nightmare, to be honest. They're really tight, like any sort of gearbox seal, I suppose, have to be to prevent leaks, but yeah, a bit of a nightmare to get in. If you need a seal there, get someone else to do it. Take it into a garage. You've got the correct kit with the cups and all that. To be honest, I won't do those myself again. That was an absolute nightmare. Trying to get it in, you got to tap it really hard, but you don't want to damage it, and it's kind of rubber covered, so real nightmare. But that is in. I'm just hoping it won't leak, but we will see. Yeah, so air conditioning compressor on. So next is this wiring loom. So this is the motor stack wiring loom. So these are all the connector points around here. So these two connector points here, that one is the one from the rotor position sensor. And also, oddly, does the control for the fan, that big black round motor cooling fan that sits up there, and then it's ducted down into there and cools the motor. I think that is part of that loom because it's controlled by the motor controller. So yeah, the motor controller obviously needs to know the rotor position. So that little mini loom is going to the motor controller in there via that plug, and the motor controller is also controlling the motor cooling fan, obviously, because if it needs cooling. So it's all kind of related, that's why that makes sense. But yeah, so this harness connects to these points on here, connects to the, that's the gear position sensor. So in the Zoe, when you move the gear lever, the kind of reverse neutral drive lever, it connects to that pin there, that one that's shinier, and moves that, and then that moves that sensor. It does the parking lock as well that's inside that reduction gear. Yeah, and that loom has got like the comms and the power for the air conditioning compressor. So yeah, got to get this all back on. It also connects onto the main ECU, and got relay box, connects to what's called the power and switching unit, something like that, which is this, the one that's still got a few boxes, but this one under here, that box. So you got to turn that upside down, and it gets power from in here as well. So yeah, that's got to be refitted onto this stack. So I'll get that around there next, and then we'll get that ready to go back in, and then we'll put it in and see what happens. Right, we're getting somewhere. Okay, cool. So now we've got the stack built, wiring looms back on, water pumps back on, and this is basically ready to get back in the car, get it wired up, and see what happens. So yeah, if you want a bit of a guide to what we've got here, so yeah, we said that one's the one from the rotor position sensor. This one's the one that connects all the sort of control boxes to the main car. So sort of rectifier, DC-DC converter, stuff like that. That's where the charging comms goes from the charging socket. That's the DC-DC output, so that's the main 12 volt, sort of like 14 volt supply. Up here, these are for the motor cooling fans. That's the control, the comms, and that's the power for it, and there's a relay box for it there. And then along here, this is the radiator power and control. Yes, that's the gear selector switch. That's the relay for the radiator. Water pumps around there. These are earth points, and this is for the 12 volt test box, which is that aluminium fin thing there. So when the car starts, you've got a Zoe up to 2019. If it's dark, you might notice, if you have a look at the interior light, as you open the door and sort of unlock the car, the interior light will come on, and then it will dim for a second, like almost flicker. And what that is this is called the pulse box, or 12 volt test box. And this box puts a split second load on the 12 volt battery to give it a test. And if it's in a poor health, then you get that check electric on the dash. But yeah, that's what that does. And that's that blue plug for that. So then we've got these wires. So these, see this funny shaped rubber thing fits into there. So that's the switching and control unit or something, I can't remember. But yeah, those plugs will go into there, particularly like that single wire one. Nice bit of design there. This is the power that comes from that red lidded unit. That's 12-volt supply. It's kind of 12-volt onto the car from the DC-DC converter unit onto the battery, and then 12-volt little mini fuse box there. And then we've got some bigger fuses, maxi fuses, and supply for that fuse box. So those 2 fuses there, which you can see there, fit into there. That's part of that. And then we've got the main ECU, so that one fits into there. And then that one is the 12-volt battery current sensor, which is on the negative lead there. There you go. I don't know what I'm doing, just off the top of my head. And then obviously these 2 are the main battery power, big orange 400-volt cable, and then that's the comms for the battery sort of control. Yeah, and they're the 2 cable holding bits that fit onto that tray there, and then they feed through there. So yes, that's how it goes back. That's what everything is. Hope that's interesting. And yeah, next step is to get that back in, but we are ready to go. All right, catch you later.